Good afternoon. It is Thursday, June 24th at 2:00 p.m. The City of Pocatello and the local fire union are here to meet for negotiations. In the last session, the last thing on the table was a verbal counteroffer from the city, and the union had asked for time to consider that.
Okay, so we spent a lot of time going over it, and we also spoke with a lot of our membership. And the bottom line is that that's going to put us worse off than we currently are. We would take home less money in 22 than we do in 21, and our body's not interested in that.
Okay.
What we felt like, or from where we're standing, we think that both sides recognize that the items that were in that multi-part counter were the core items that are left on the table. And we feel like the best way to do this is to address those items one by one and agree that we're going to focus on those specific items and go from there.
I don't disagree that we can focus on those items, but I don't want to have some agreement that everybody thinks that's the only thing we can talk about. Is that what you're suggesting?
I said focus.
Okay, I'm just making sure I understand.
I mean, I said focus. That doesn't mean that other items can't be brought off the table, but I do think that if we can come to agreement on the items that we were discussing, then both sides could leave with an agreement we could both live with.
All right, we're ready to hear any proposals you may have then.
Okay. The first one that we've got is for the emergency vehicle technician. Just a second. So this is basically where we left off in the multi-part proposal. The only thing that we did was that we added, upon release of this position, all work on emergency vehicles must be performed in accordance with NFPA 1911, Chapter 4. So that means that if we give up the work upon this person's retirement, then the same quality of work will be ensured.
Okay. I don't have any questions on it at this time.
Okay? Are you willing to
We're not willing to tee anything at the
Okay.
at the moment.
So the next one is pertaining to the combat challenge. And we haven't made any changes from where we were at in the multi-part proposal. Adam's bringing it to your side right now.
Your turn for steps.
Yeah.
And even though that was one that wasn't in the multi-part proposal, that was one that was discussed by both sides and was on the table.
Okay.
And for clarification, is this what you originally submitted for a second meeting?
The city submitted this in the beginning.
You had a counter proposal too.
Yeah, the counter that we did struck the words combat challenge. This is the language that we had that was I believe it's the language that was submitted in your counter that added this back in on the multi-part.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So no questions, no discussion?
Not at this time.
Okay.
We'll need time to review.
All right.
Ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Which one?
4096. So this is the 4896, and we did bundle longevity in there. We agreed to where you were at with freezing the longevity table in the multi-part proposal. And you can read where we were at as far as 4896 and coming to agreement on that, or at least the contingencies with that.
Okay,
Questions?
not at this time.
Okay. Well, at this point, we've got one more proposal, but we would like you guys to consider where we're at with the three proposals you have before you before we deliver the last one, because we don't feel like somebody's job or a schedule change should have an impact on take-home and benefits.
Okay. We'll go into caucus then. The conference room you were in earlier is still available too.
Okay.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for giving us time to review the language that you submitted. At this time, we're willing to TA your EVT, the first handout you gave today. We're also willing to TA the combat challenge, which was your handout 2 today.
That is combat challenge.
And then we're willing to hear any of your other proposals that you have today.
Okay. Do you have any questions on the 4896 one?
We do not.
Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and, last one is, yeah, let's go. Okay. Yeah, can we get some audio video?
Sure.
Yes. October 6th.
Okay.
Yeah. Wonder that you protect that adapter. You don't want it to walk.
Somewhere in my office, there has to be like 10 of them.
I
I'm
think
not
you should
sure
go-
where they are, but they're in there.
No, yeah, no worries. We're still recording, right?
Yep.
Okay. You know, one thing, just to be clear, we feel like the 4896 is merely a schedule change. it actually, because of the changes in FLSA cycle, the city benefits from it. There's a few items that the city actually does get some benefit from, like holdover overtime will go down by about 50%. So that's when we get a call right at shift change, and somebody ends up going on the call and then has holdover. If you're on your 48, then that's the middle, the halfway point of your 48, then you won't be getting holdover overtime. There's a few items that are like that we feel like are a benefit to the city. And so we do have a little bit of hesitancy to tie this to wages. That's why we've separated them out. So just wanted to get that talking point in before we roll into wages.
Okay.
Are we?
Is it not showing?
It's not showing my screen.
It's definitely showing the screen, so check to make sure that you're not on dual screens, that you're on mirrored screens.
Okay. I have never done dual screens with this.
It could be
So, where is that gonna be?
Display.
Display? So settings?
Just type display down there.
Okay. Well, look at you. This one?
Let's open it up. And the option is
Just the scroll. All right, cool beans. Okay.
Take them.
What's that?
These over.
Let's wait for just a second.
Okay.
So this is where we left out with, where we were at with the bundled package.
That's not actually accurate.
All right,
Annual Viva was 1,000, and then there was 700 for a wellness incentive. Those are
Okay.
different items.
all right. And I duly noted. I mean,
Just
we-
to be clear, though, that wasn't our offer. I just wanted to make sure that there was
Well,
a
and-
distinction
and-
there.
And one thing that, I mean, I guess we viewed it as $1,700 because we have an annual physical. And so the 17, so the additional wellness, the $700 should be almost automatic rolled in because we have a mandatory physical every year.
But the funding mechanism is different.
Okay. Okay. So this is an example of an employee. If you have a probationary firefighter that qualifies as a family plan, right now, their net is 4812 or 21212. With the proposal, because of the co-insurance coming out, they would end up losing about $1,250. And so, which is about a 2.5% decrease. So this is just a table that breaks it down and shows how the impact of that would work in FY21. It's actually supposed to be green, yellow, and red, but the
Yeah, this
display is
is-
not great.
Totally weird colors.
But the ones on the left are the green. So basically, employee only would be the only people within our bargaining unit that would get any sort of a raise. The yellow would be a wage increase less than CPI, and the red are people who are losing money in year one of what was on the table. In year two, And I apologize again for the picture, but the grade that's on the left and in the EC1 category are the only people that would be making any money. The kind of brown color are the people who would be getting increases less than CPI, and our fire secretary would still be losing money on a family plan in year 2 over what they're making now. Year 3, we'd finally get to the point to where we were about 50-50, but anybody with a family or anybody with either 2 children or, well, anybody that was on the 15% would still be losing money. And with that, we're going to slide across to our proposal. Ken, I don't need this anymore. So what we would do with this proposal is we would phase it in over 4 years. This year it would be a 3% increase to base wage with no changes as far as premium share. Next year it would be a 4% increase and CPI, and all employees would go to a 95%, 95-5 split. In year 3, the employees only would stay at 95 and 5, and the other 2 categories would go to 90 and 10, with a 4% increase also with CPI. And in year 4, we would go to the 95, 90, and 85% breakdown. And as you can see there, year 2 we would go 1,500 on Viva, year 3 we would go 1,700 on Viva, and year 4 we would go to 2,000.
Okay,
That's what we got. Do you have any questions?
I do not.
I have one, and you're not doing anything with longevity, it doesn't freeze, it goes up each year pursuant to the calculation.
Longevity was in the other proposal.
But
No, I'm
if-
just asking
But
if
if we
it's-
don't accept that proposal, longevity would continue under this offer.
Yes.
Okay.
The only other question, since Jared had one, is in fiscal year '22, there's no change to insurance premiums. Does that mean your current coverage rates remain as is?
Our assumption would be that you're talking about like the amount that the city would pay.
Yes.
No, no change to the current structure.
There is nothing in the contract that addresses what your premium increase could be for '22. So what number are you proposing for that?
It will have no more than an 8% increase.
So that is an addition to this offer.
Yes,
So that's a verbal change I can write in here.
yes.
Do you also have an increase per year during the rollout of your phased-in plan, or does it just go to percentage?
It would just go to percentage.
Okay. Do you have anything else, Jared? All right, we obviously need some time to discuss. Welcome back, everybody. Coming out of our caucus, we would like to respond to your 4896 longevity bundle proposal. This is a three-part proposal. The first part is a 3-year CBA. The second part is we agree to a 4896 schedule with the following conditions. The criteria for the 4896 will be defined cooperatively between the 2 parties. The criteria of the schedule will be defined in a policy document, which will be incorporated by reference into the fiscal year 22 through 24 CBA as an MOU. The policy document discussion will begin no sooner than July 1st and no later than August 1st, 2021. discussed in a recorded meeting in city council chambers, and will include representatives from the city and the union. If an agreement is reached, implementation will occur no later than 30 days after ratification, but cannot occur sooner than October 1st. If the parties fail to reach an agreement on the policy document, the 4896 will be implemented October 1st, 2022. If the implementation occurs without agreed upon policy document, there will be a 1-year trial period. After 180 days, either party may provide 30-day notice of an opt-out of the schedule. Employees on the 4896 will have a 24-day FLSA cycle, and longevity pay calculations will utilize the fiscal year 21 longevity scales throughout the term of the agreement. New participants in the plan are still eligible, and employees are eligible to move up the scales annually until max.
We're gonna have to talk about that.
Obviously. Do you have any questions off at the beginning?
I don't think so.
Do you want to caucus now?
Would you rather we do that, or would you like to do the wage proposal, or the response to the other?
It's up to you. You could call the caucus.
I don't know that we could move on a 3-year contract without knowing how the wages are gonna be for 3 years. So I don't think we could agree to this without knowing wages, don't you guys think? So just that part of it, to me, would, I don't think we can come back and TA this without knowing something about wages.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on with the other, and then we'll caucus to discuss both.
Andrew, you have a copy, right? I do.
That's the- yeah.
The City of Pocatello offers the following for base pay increases for the duration of the 3-year contract. Percentages will be adopted to base salary. Fiscal year 22 is 2.5%, 23 is 3%, and 24 is 3.5%. For fiscal year 22, rates will remain at the current calendar year 21 costs. Any increase to your costs will be absorbed by membership, by individual members paying monthly premiums. I've included the scale of your costs. For 23, city and union will pay cooperatively towards premiums. Employee only, 96 city, 4% employee. Employee plus 1, 92.8, and employee plus 2, 88.12. For fiscal year 24, we would move to a 95.5, 90.10, 85.15, and employees would then be eligible to participate in the wellness program and be eligible for a $700 wellness benefit paid into the city's HRA program with submission of a wellness exam form, and all remaining items would be withdrawn by the offering party.
Yeah, I think we're gonna need a caucus.
Understand? Welcome back.
Okay, so we went back and talked, and what we would like to do is regarding the 4896 proposal, we would like to make a counter,
Okay.
and I'll just make it verbally because you've already got the language here. It would be that we go to.
Just a sec, let me get a copy out so I can make the changes on here. Okay, sorry.
It would just be that we would go to an 18-day FLSA cycle. That's splitting the difference between what we were asking for and what you're asking for. The FLSA cycle would double for us. And that would have an impact on our membership. But that would be the only change.
Mind if I add?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Scott.
And just some more reasoning behind that. You know, I think we've all come to the understanding, I believe that this schedule is going to hopefully be a benefit for everybody, us and the city, and fire staff, or fire management. But with the longevity freeze, even though it's a benefit for everybody, we've already given up a little bit of something to move toward the schedule. And so, since the FLSA cycle also affects our membership, an 18-day, I guess, compromise would be much more appropriate, since again, this is a benefit for everybody. And we're really the ones making most of the concessions here to move towards it. So, just kind of the reasoning behind it.
Okay.
Okay, do you guys have any questions, or do you have anything on that one?
Not at this time.
Okay, so your second proposal regarding wages and benefits, we're gonna have to sit down, and considering how late in the day it is, we don't have the time to be able to put forth the counter proposal at this time. So we felt like it was worthwhile to come in and address this one, and then schedule the next meeting, and then go from there. I mean, there is still some time, but.
Well, we'll
but it's
need
gonna
time
take-
to caucus to consider your verbal counter.
Okay,
So we'll take that now and
Yeah.
come back in probably less than 10 minutes.
Yeah. I don't know, either one. I just punched them.
If there's problems with the whole punching, I guarantee it.
I just did one tap. There we go.
Thank you for giving us a few minutes. We have a counter to your verbal that I wrote down, so it's easier for all of us to track. We accept your 18-day FLSA cycle. However, we added an item 4 that says, with the exception of wages, medical, and VIVA benefits, all other open items will be withdrawn by the offering party.
is it okay if we just do a quick sidebar?
Of course.
Okay. Oh, let me just go there.
We're still in session. We're on.
Oh, we're on? Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, we'll TA that.
Okay. And then council chambers is available Monday morning, starting at 9 for our next session.
So you need to post 48 before?
No, the posting requirement for open negotiations is just as soon as practicable or possible.
Okay. I think we'll have to maybe talk as a group a little bit. We do have some members that are not going to be able to attend that. That's why we accepted this date in the beginning. Is it okay? I'll probably email you back tomorrow.
That's fine.
And let you know. And then if you could also maybe come up with some alternate dates.
I'll see what I can do.
One thing before we go for the day is, you know, in looking over your wage and benefit proposal, with that, we would have some members that would only have about a 3% increase over the course of this 3-year contract. And that's a pretty tough one to stomach. We came into this negotiations 15% behind, and we feel like we need to make up a little bit of ground. This entire negotiation's been kind of funny because it's almost been like negotiating in silos. We've passed something over to your side, and you've passed something to ours, and then we both split and caucused. There hasn't been much time where we've had the opportunity to have a conversation and just have an honest conversation about where we need to go with these proposals. You know, I mean, if we do move to a premium share, then our membership is going to be having to take on some of that, and obviously, but we feel strongly that if we do a premium share, then the city needs to take back administration. And all things that are benefit related affect your out-of-pocket, or affect the money that goes into your bank account. And so we need to, at some point, find a way to try to make up that gap, because we're 15% behind. If we don't address wages in this contract, we'll be that much further behind at the end of this contract. And this is just going to be a problem that continues. In the past 6 years, we've had 11 members leave this department to go work for other departments. And we've had 16 people that have left this department to, we've got the 11 that left for other departments. We've had an additional 5 that have left to go to another job entirely. And wages has a ton to do with that, but we've got to do a few things to try to help with morale as well.
And Andy, I feel like every time we've traded proposals, we've had, while you would not consider it extensive, there has been productive dialogue and questions have been addressed and answered. I feel it's kind of disingenuous to say that we're operating in silos, because we are interacting.
Okay. Well, then I guess let's have a little bit of a conversation. What can we do to find some middle ground on these 2 items, or these 3 items? We've got to do something that takes a reasonable raise back to our membership. And we can't go backwards. We did that presentation just a little while ago where we had the green, the yellow, and the red. This proposal puts it so that everything is in the yellow almost for the entire duration of the contract.
Medical benefit costs go up every year. Your membership has enjoyed 3 years of no premiums paid out of your pockets. The city's been shouldering that 100%. I think that's something you also have to take into account.
And I understand that, but the cost of our insurance has been cheaper than if we stayed with the city's insurance, and the city's received a benefit by not having to pay that money.
We disagree 100%. You leaving the pool cost regular employees more money.
So what do you quantify that at?
I quantify that based on rates. I also look back at the information that Mick suggested, back to fact finding, where it was very clearly stated from your side that it would increase City of Pocatello medical plan premiums. Your group acknowledged that that would occur.
We acknowledge that us leaving the pool gives you a smaller pool and makes it more difficult for you to negotiate for good rates. But at the same time, you did a presentation where you put our numbers in with your numbers, and you showed that it cost the city 1.4% by not having us in. And when was that? Was that 19?
So, I don't know about a presentation, but, so I guess, going back, what is this number? Because there seems to be a big sticking point. What is the number, I guess in your guys' mind, the dollar value that we cost?
Well, to be clear, we have never asked you to come back into the plan once you left. We're not arguing that you need to come back into the plan. We are saying there are limitations to what we can afford to put on the table. And we have to very actively make sure we're balancing the needs of employees and taxpayers. And I'm sorry if that feels that there's not a dialogue or that we're not giving what we can. I assure you, we are looking at a very large picture. We are not trying to make it so that your employees feel like they're not valued. We value you very much. At the end of the day, though, there is only so much pie, and we have to divvy it out accordingly. If we feed one side and we don't feed the other, we have problems in other areas as well, and we're suffering on that side as well. You're not alone in that.
So I feel like that's kind of stepping into another category of conversation, but I think that's an important one. You're mentioning you have limitations, you have constraints, and if we could be more open about what those are, I think we would be able to better come to some sort of an agreement instead of this, back and forth in darkness.
Isn't that the whole concept of negotiations, is trading ideas back and forth? You don't necessarily have to agree as you dialogue. At the end of it, the goal is agreement. We are still having that dialogue.
A shared information pool too would help us, I think, everybody.
What information have you asked for that we have not provided?
Well, what are your constraints, I guess would be the easiest one.
Well, the city budget this year is $131 million. I can't line item that for you. The Budget Digest is available online. That is something you can access at any time. The public has access. We don't have numbers from the county or from the state for fiscal year 22 at this time.
I guess I suppose that, if we blindly pass a proposal over to you and you look at the numbers, you're able to look at that, at whatever we propose and say, this does or does not work. Is that an inaccurate statement?
I'm not sure what the statement, I'm sorry, I don't understand
If
the
we
statement.
propose some sort of a wage increase or change of some kind, we pass it over the table to you, you're able to look at those numbers and say, this is outside the bounds of what we can do, or it's within the bounds of what we can do. You can make that judgment, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess that's what I'm asking is, can we share more information about what those bounds are so that we can more cooperatively come to an agreement on this one, well, I guess a couple very big items that we've narrowed this down to. Like this
Well,
is
and
the
we
big
have
one,
narrowed
right?
it down, but to
Yeah.
the two most expensive items that we could possibly see.
Sure, but
So
now
by
it-
narrowing, that's kind of that's like saying I went, from an Olympic swimming pool down, a foot.
Sure, there's a lot of extraneous stuff that we've cleared out now, and so we can focus on this big issue. And if we can try to work together and share information, I think we can make some progress here. But right now,
And again, I'm
we're
not
so far
hearing
apart.
what information you don't feel that we're sharing. All you're saying is you don't give us enough, but I'm not understanding what we're not giving you. If you can provide clarification on what you're requesting that we are not providing, we would happily look into that.
But, so I guess, you would go into any negotiations with kind of a number that and I'm not asking you to tell me what your number is, but you clearly go into any negotiations with a number that you can increase. With us taking on the cost sharing with insurance, we feel like as if we would be financing our own raises at that point. And certainly the overall benefit number for the fire department would not go up very much at all. Because we would have money coming out of one pocket and going into the other. The majority of the proposals, and this one included, we end up with no more take home than we had before. All we've done is now we've just taken it out of this pocket and put it in here.
So I guess, if a direct question then would be, going back to our proposal that we brought in today regarding wages and insurance. Pass that across the table, you guys had a chance to look at it, and then you came back with this, and I guess I would like to know, why did our proposal not work? Are you able to answer that question in any form?
Not right now.
And then that's the information, I guess, you know, is it too expensive? Is it not meeting a goal that you guys are looking for? Is it, you know, I mean, what's the sticking point there so that we can kind of work towards the middle ground and end up together?
Can I address that? You have to remember the dynamics that we're working under, right? This is not a typical corporation, labor union negotiation. We're a corporation, but we're a government corporation. And part of a government corporation's downfall is that we have a budget development process. We don't have a budget. Like Heather said, we're waiting on numbers from the county. We're waiting on numbers from the state. We're in budget development, so we don't have a hard and fast bottom line that we know, and we can divvy it out as seems appropriate by the governing board, the board of directors, or whatever the case may be. We have a city council that is also in budget development. We are also representatives of that governing board. So they don't have all the hard and fast numbers, and obviously by virtue of that, we don't have the hard and fast numbers. We are given direction to work within guidelines, and that's what we do, and that's what we use to analyze the proposals, and that's what we use to create the proposals that we give you. I think what you're asking is, you know, how big's the pie? How much of it can we have, basically? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I understand where you're coming from. We wish we had those hard and fast exact numbers, but the fact of the matter is we don't. So the dynamics that we have, balancing two unions, as well as general employees, as well as all the services that we provide and everything else that goes into budget development, is where we're given those parameters, and that's what we work with when we come in and talk to you guys. We can't have exacts because they don't exist.
And I totally understand that. And I guess that is kind of, getting at the point a little bit. I mean, yeah, there is a pie, and obviously you guys can't tell us exactly, you know, what slice could be taken for us or for anyone else, but those topics that you were just listing, I guess if we could just be more open about them, I think it would help us to move towards a solution on these things.
And I guess I would follow up with the same type of question that Heather asked. What is it that you're asking? We all work under those dynamics. That's the constraints that we all have. I'm an open book. I'm happy to share with you whatever I know and whatever I have.
I guess.
I mean, it's still a negotiation,
Right,
don't
right.
get me wrong, but.
If we could maybe, instead of just, you know, every proposal being tossing a dart and seeing where it lands, are we in the bounds or out of the bounds? Maybe we could better define the target area,
Well,
I guess, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of what a counterproposal is, right? When you give us a proposal and we counter, we don't come up with those numbers just arbitrarily. That tells you kind of where we're at. I mean, that is the open communication. We don't just say no and leave it at that. We come back with very specific numbers and very specific offers, as do you, and that's as good as we can do at this point. If we had exact numbers and it was an open book, there would really be no need to negotiate. We would just say this is what it is, and you know, pie's this big and everybody gets this portion, and that's what it is. That's why we have a hard time sometimes when you talk about the 15% in comparables with other departments, because they have their own constraints, they have their own dynamics that are theirs, and they're relevant, absolutely they're relevant, but at the same time they can't control because their situation doesn't change our situation. It is what it is. So we're doing the best we can with the dynamics that we're given, and we'll always answer any questions that we can, provide any information that you ask that we have, that we can provide, and I feel good about how things have gone. I think we've made good headway on things, but yeah, there's still some big ones out there.
I believe there's a meeting after us that we need to wrap up for.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Can
we're
I
out of
ask
time.
just a couple more quick questions? I mean, of course, send me an email as far as the date for the next, or proposed dates for the next meeting.
Does that mean Monday won't work?
Well, let me check with my team, and we'll get back to you tomorrow regarding Monday. But potentially, well, and I guess, yeah, let me get back to you tomorrow and then we'll decide whether or not we need to select a different date.
Okay.
Then the other thing is do we want to do any movement toward, I mean, I saw the email from the mediator. Do we want to look at grabbing one of the dates that he's available?
We're certainly not opposed to that by any means. I mean, if we're able to meet as quickly as Monday, maybe we can hold off. He gave us several options, none of which are immediate, so that's up to you.
Well, one of them's Tuesday.
Was it that quick? I guess I didn't look that.
Tuesday, there's a budget meeting in here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Tuesday was but then the next one is until the 12th.
Yeah.
And Tuesday just is not feasible for us, I don't.
For many reasons.
Okay, well, I'll reply to you tomorrow about Monday and then we'll go from there.
And if we decide we want to see if we can get the mediator, it's all virtual, so that's something we could coordinate and put together pretty quickly as well. I shouldn't say quickly. With the virtual aspect of it, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, that one's got to be
It's gonna be awkward.
different.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but we'll keep in touch. Anything else? Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.